My fellow crypto and altcoin holders, believe it or not, this video is a video from the future. Yes, that's right, I'm contacting you indirectly from 2025, specifically December of 2025. Now, I heard down the grapevine that you weren't prepared. You're watching all the crypto videos under the sun. You're looking at CoinMarketCap thinking you're a genius and thinking you found the crypto code, and right now, you're all in. But from what I understand, as of December of 2025, as I'm filming this video, you've got nothing in your back pocket. See, the mistake you're making in 2024 is actually a really big one. In this video, I'm going to go over the exact things that you are likely going to be getting wrong, and it's time for me to remind you what the most important thing is right now. It is not buying your altcoins. Chances are you've pretty much bought at least 10 altcoins that you have some conviction in. It's not dollar cost averaging. You can do that even when prices are going up. The most important thing, actually 3 specific things in this video, will allow you to maybe alter the course of time itself, and so hopefully make some bloody money. So with that being said, and all jokes aside, make sure if you do find yourself enjoying this video that you do hit that like button down there. It goes a long way. You know, I'm trying to make videos here to help you guys out in ways that I never had help in the last cycle. It's to help you avoid the mistakes that 95% of people make, and I don't obviously want you to be a part of that statistic. So the first point here is the least important out of all these 3, but a very quick mention that if you are staking your cryptocurrencies, to just consider unstaking. Ask yourself, is the extra few hundred or a couple tokens really worth you losing everything? Like with Celestia here, if you're staking this right now on Kepler, so directly on the Celestia platform itself, you know, it's a 3-week unlock period. Now, I'm sorry, but if Celestia pops off in January here, you won't be able to hit that unstake button fast enough. You won't be able to access your tokens for 3 entire weeks. It's crypto. There's no one you can cry to. There's no one that you can argue with to say, hey, can I have my tokens back? You just have to wait. It's baked into the code itself. And so I've unstaked all my cryptocurrencies right now, apart from 2. So Nia's one of the ones I haven't unstaked because the unstaking period right now is only between 2 to 3 days. Now, there is a situation where you actually stake via a third party, meaning not on the actual project itself. So I'm staking my Nia on the My Nia wallet on Nia protocol itself directly. Now, you might stake through Ledger, through crypto.com, you might stake through Binance, Coinbase, or some third party where they have likely longer unstake period, like with crypto.com here for 7 days. So you want to make sure where you're staking, what their unstake periods are. And if it's very long, you might want to consider getting out. Now, point 2 is very important as well, but I think point 3 is by far the most. And that is storing your cryptocurrencies. If you end up on an exchange where they say, hey, we can't actually honor your withdrawal or transfer on your cryptocurrency, or we won't let you sell it, guess what? You're stuck holding a coin. I've seen it happen in the last cycle. You know, you hold these coins and there's a technical error or something happens on the exchange and you end up missing the pump. You can't even transfer your tokens out or swap it into a different coin. You're screwed. We're already starting to see the cracks in the system already from Kraken. You can see here, this guy over here had issues with them just pretty much seizing his funds, unfortunately. And even if he didn't have his funds seized, some of these exchanges have very, very tight withdrawal limits, particularly in cash. This is 100,000 a day for Kraken, but I've seen some as low as, I think, 5,000 a week. I've also seen a lot of Coinbase FUD recently as well. They've restricted a lot of people's accounts recently. That is not a good thing, all right? And it's already happening. Imagine what's going to happen in 6 bloody months' time. This goes for Binance and all the rest of them. So as you'll soon see here, I have a plan in place to prevent this from happening, and I really suggest you try to implement something similar as well. Point blank, simply, Jason over here says it pretty crudely, but I think definitely importantly, not your keys, not your crypto. And it's as simple as that. That's why I'm using one of these right now, a Ledger. This is a Ledger Flex. It's a brand new product. If you want to get your hands on it, I'll leave the links down below at a discount as well. This is their flagship product. Guys, when it comes to crypto, when it comes to making sure possibly tens of thousands of your own hard-earned dollars are possibly on the line, the last thing you want to do is leave it up to chance or a bloody exchange, let's face it, that don't give 2 craps about us. They just don't. Spending a little bit of money on a hardware wallet like this and storing it in a cold place is probably a very smart thing to do. Now, the question begs, right? Where do you actually park your cash? I can't tell you what to specifically do. All I can give you is what I'm currently doing. So I'm running a nice little operation I've been doing for quite a while now, and that does sound kind of sus when I say it out loud, but let's just leave it at that. So what I'm currently doing is using a brokerage that I've been using for quite a while that I deeply trust. These aren't an exchange, guys. These are a brokerage. Caleb and Brown, I use these as my brains of the operation, if you will. The in and out of crypto, the place in which I, transfer to different exchanges. It's the hub. They have great security protocols in place. You are assigned another real person, a broker that you talk with that allows you to do transfers and all the rest of it. So I use them as my hub, but then I transfer all of my crypto or as much as I can over to my ledger, again, my cold storage hardware wallet. And this is where I store the big bucks. But believe you me, when it comes, roughly speaking, time for the narrative pump to occur, that money goes back to Caleb and Brown. From here, I disperse it, as you'll see in a second here, to a few different places. But all you need to know right now is I've been transferring in and out of Bitunics, a non-KYC exchange. These guys are fantastic as well. We've actually been trading with them. Links down below, by the way. In the private community here, the trading coin, we have over a 75% hit rate. This is some of our November wins and losses. You can see here, very upfront, we lose a couple of times. We win a majority of the time, and we win big. And so we just pretty much do all that over in Bitunics. We transfer that over to Caleb and Brown, and if possible, back into cold storage. If I have Aussie dollars I want to put into crypto or take out of crypto, it's instant, seamless, and I use it all through Caleb and Brown. So you can see they're my hub, and I just move it around depending on where it needs to go from there. So that's great, but what happens when you try to sell? What happens when we're trying to negate or prevent the issue I mentioned before, where you got to use an exchange and they say, not today, mate. You're not going to change your life today. We're going to lock your tokens down and we're going to wait for after your token finishes pumping to give you back the rights to transfer. So what do we do in this case? Well, it's a three-pronged approach. A little bit of extra work is involved, but it's the only way I think you're able to overcome this problem, which will likely happen to everyone here watching this video at some point in this cycle. And that's a method I got from one of the community members. Shout out to you, Mike, who told me the best thing to do, Kyron, is break up where you sell your crypto, but also break it up by sell level. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my crypto. Let's just say I'm selling my Ondo over here, okay? What I would do is put my Ondo on 3 exchanges. Now, I've picked Bitunics and CoinW here because they're non-KYC. So this is not LKYC, it's just KYC. So you guys can go ahead and spin accounts up quite easily and quickly. There's no dramas and all the rest of it that you might have to put up with. Now, I'm selling the bottom part of my sell levels here, so that's represented by these green lines, on Caleb and Brown themselves. The reason being is because they have the highest fees out of these two, because these two are actual exchanges, not brokers. They have lower operational costs because they are exchanges, whereas Caleb and Brown obviously are a bit more pricey because they obviously have a broker assigned to you. And so I want to obviously not be selling out my highest sell levels on here because that means that I'm profiting more. That means the higher fees. That means I'm giving more of my money away, basically, right? So the lower sell levels go on here. The mid sell levels go to CoinW because these guys don't have as much liquidity as I've seen on most of the coins I own than Bitunics. And Bitunics has the top sell levels, as simple as that, okay? So I set these all up simultaneously per coin. Of course, these exchanges might look different to you. Just be careful. Again, I cannot reiterate enough where you go ahead and actually set these sell levels up. And this brings me to my last but yet most important point. All of it, including you buying, DCAing, stress, the gloating you're going to be doing on Christmas Day, like all of this is for nothing if you don't do this. This is where most of you go wrong. Okay, this is where most of you do go wrong. And that is actually setting up your sell levels. Now, I'll be quite quick here because I've spoken about this. I don't even want to think about how many times now, at least 1.5 million times. So the way we do things in crypto here is pretty much have a price prediction and we aim for that, right? If I say ICP is going to $1,000, you try sell it $1,000, or you try front run me and sell it $990. Very bad. What we do here, to put it quite simply, is to look into liquid zones. We call these the GGR zones. Matter of fact, part of our bull run cheat sheet we have in the private community here is breaking apart these zones based on data, based on literally what the market says, none of my personal input, just, again, data. And we pull up from a price prediction here based on data all the way down to certain levels that give us the highest chance to exit while there's still buyers. You see, in the red zone here, from the price prediction, the very top here, where most people say hey, aim for that price prediction. Down to about 25%, we call this the red zone or the danger zone. This is where it's sellers versus sellers. This is where everyone likely is going to try to be fighting with you to sell. If no one buys and everyone's selling, the price just free falls quite quickly. The gray zone is down from 25%, which is the top of the gray zone / bottom of the red zone, to minus 35% here, which is actually the top of the green zone / bottom of the gray zone. Again, this is best represented at these two levels here, okay? Now, this is $81 here for render, and this is really the ending of the buffer zone here, or the gray zone. You don't want to really be here either, but the reason we have this is because we don't know where price actually might go to. Today, the price prediction for render is $124. Tomorrow, render might come out with a horrendous update, have been hacked, or something happens to render, and the price prediction changes, for example. Just like in the real world, if Coca-Cola, like with Ronaldo, had the situation where he kind of pushed the Coke bottle off to the side and the price plummeted, well, if it was more of a long-term impacting situation, then that might actually degrade the price prediction. That's what we have to be malleable for. So all this to say, the static current price predictions, the green zone here is the most liquid zone starting at $81, which theoretically, yes, does mean, for those of you paying attention, you can likely sell render here up to about $81 currently, and that's likely going to probably give you a pretty good exit price, okay? It's currently just under a 9x. But in anything, the lower you sell, the better it is, the safer it is. So I wouldn't obviously recommend anyone tries to get up here at about a 9x from the current price. The lower, the better. But the real problem here doesn't come from doing this. The problem here comes from where you are led to actually sell. You see, you setting the sell price that you want to get at is just like you going to the gym wanting to get abs. You can train abs all day, every day. You might have a rock solid foundation of abs underneath, but if you don't go and cook yourself healthy food and slim the fat, you'll never be able to see the abs. Where this matters and where you actually create that six-pack dreamy abs is actually in the kitchen. All right. Now, the kitchen here is setting up your sell levels. That's also what I've taken the time to create here as templates in the bull run cheat sheet. These are all templates you can use. We put in this case, render protocol. Say, for example, we buy render protocol at an average of $9. We've been buying in this green zone for the last 6 to 12 months, and we average into render on this green line here of $9. Okay, sweet. So we put in $9 entry. We want to have an exit level, of course, using the GGR zones. We know that $81 is the high here for render in the liquid zone, and we think to ourselves, we want to get out as safe as possible. So like any sane person would do, they might go, for example, a nice and safe-ish 5.5x here at $50, which actually is, again, good returns. So you go, okay, I want to get out at $50, but again, that's just like us training abs in the gym. Where it really matters is here. These are your actual take profit levels themselves, and you can see here there is formulas in place that actually go into finding what's called the weighted average. Now, like I said, we can get into a whole massive topic about this. I've been talking about this for a long time, but all you need to know is getting this part wrong, which is unfortunately, I'm just going to say it how it is, a lot of influencers just kind of give you this slap-on approach where it's like, sell here, 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 and here, and get out of your coins. If you don't do this properly, as you'll soon see, what happens is you get out of these coins at very risky prices that you may never actually see any rewards, which again makes you part of that bloody statistic, which I don't want you to be a part of. All right. So for example, we're using one of the bull run cheat sheet methods here. Let's use the ideal sell method exit plan on render at $50 average sell price, starting at $9. Well, what that may look like is selling the first level here at $25 and the next level here at, what is this, $37.50, and inching our way up. You can see here, the average sell price we end up getting at is $50, and we do have to sell some levels above, as you can see here. But again, it matters at how much above. It matters how much of the portfolio. You can see here, we're selling approximately 25% at each of these two levels here, and here, above our average sell target of $50. But again, we're only selling in this case a maximum of 15% higher risk. Again, we're well under the GGR zone. You can see here, we're being quite safe. This is a new different type of sell plan here. That was more of an ideal sell plan, a much safer sell plan. Again, there is some tweaking I like to do. Personally, I don't like selling any higher than give or take around about 10% risk to the top side. So this level here would be down to about $55 like that. Just means that when price goes eventually to these levels here on render, it's pretty much going to hit these two levels at the same time and then come down or thereabouts. We can't predict exactly, but again, the higher you have this last level here, the less likely it is to reach all in one fell swoop. But that's kind of what this next sell plan actually tries to accomplish. This is a bit of an arbitrary one. This one here is from a subscriber named Louis. And Louis, I was on a call with the other day, and he has this idea of kind of letting a little bit of your portfolio ride for higher gains. So what he's doing is having a similar sort of plan where you end up getting out these different levels. Again, it does matter how much of the portfolio you do sell, okay? But he has about 6% of his portfolio left for kind of a moonshot. He's actually throwing here into the red zone up here for render at 100% risk. So it's 100% risk, guys, on top of his intended exit price, which means that might not actually happen. But again, that's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to play that sort of moonshot last part of the portfolio game, if you will. That bit here is obviously flexible. He might go, oh, render doesn't have much in the tank. I might get out of render at $80. The obviously problem here is that he might not make as much money on the top side. That's why I like to go with a programmed in sell method itself, so you know exactly how much money you're getting out of the market and how risky you're being. And so lastly, I'll just throw in here what most people recommend to you, which is obviously not ideal in my personal opinion, which is more of a bell curve sell method over here, where you kind of sell some at the bottom, some towards on the other sell level, and equally on the top side as well. And what that looks like is something pretty disgusting in my personal opinion, where you end up getting out in sort of fair and equal quadrants, if you will. Okay, so these are separated equally. But the only issue there is the lower you sell down, the higher you sell up. Meaning that if we have a look here at the risk percentages, right, you begin selling your first down here at minus 50%, which is very safe like the others over here. It starts at minus 50% risk. But then because you sell so low, it's a bell curve. It's a simple to use and simple to apply sell method. Therefore, you have to sell at 50% plus. Now, I don't know about you, but we can get a much better effect from beginning to sell at minus 50%, so very safe, and sell on the way up and sell no higher than 10 or 15% with some of these other sell methods over here, like the ideal sell plan or the boat on the water sell plan, to get only plus 15% risk. And again, in the private community, I'm teaching guys right now how to actually get out at even under 10% risk on the top side. So you pretty much sell out as soon as your main sell level is hit. If none of this made sense, it is so critically important for you to try to understand this if you can. This is, again, how you sell. And if you do this incorrectly, if you don't know the actual formula that goes into calculating what your sell prices are based on how much you sold each sell price to work out your what's called weighted average, it's unfortunate, right? You really need to apply some math here. That's why I created these tools in the private community, to literally help you copy and paste that based on your average buy price, intended exit price, and how many coins you own. That's it. And you have a solid sell plan, right? One other final thing I will mention here, guys, is just being a little bit aware of timing the tops with these coins. Now, like I said, you don't know where the tops are. Price predictions are great for a period. These things move around. That's why we use the GGR zones. But unfortunately, you're still going to have predictions. You're still going to fall victim to thinking the market goes up forever. Like in the last cycle, September 8th, okay, we literally had people still calling for 100K Bitcoin. That was whatever that was, $39,000-ish off at that point. So be careful of us going to 200K and people calling for 300K. This also applies for altcoins as well. Now, I love Credible. He's a big, big friend of the channel, but this post he made about HBAR recently just goes to show what I'm talking about, right? People asking me whether to buy HBAR now or wait for a dip. Guys, this is it. It's not too late, but once we go into price discovery, so above 46 cents, then things will escalate quickly. We had months to accumulate. If you didn't, for whatever reason, now is your last chance to get on board. Now, this tweet right here is obviously quite bullish considering render's price is up here at 30 cents. Would you believe me if I said that this tweet actually came out September 13th, 2021? When was that? That was actually over here, a little bit higher than 35 cents-ish. So HBAR's price was around 35, 40 cents and it capped out at 45 cents, or actually 57 cents. So it only went up about 10 cents higher from when he called that. So again, no share on him. He didn't know. It's just a part of the game. But all I'm trying to say is you're going to have Bitcoin predictions, individual altcoin predictions, convincing you coins like Render, ICP, and the rest of it will go up forever. Don't make that mistake. Use the damn GGR zones. Use the sell levels like this. Be precise, be exact, and be malleable. Don't stick with something forever and think that's just going to happen, okay? Things might change. So again, make sure you're subscribed. I will keep you informed with the coins I know and I love. And with that being said, I wish you all the best for 2025. Take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.